since Obama took office, that's over 65 million FBI background checks. That's
Maybe.
unheard of.
6 of them were mine.
Could it be that the American people actually know, hey, something's happening, something's coming down the horizon,
Sure.
war's coming, we know it's happening, we don't trust our government anymore, and that's the other thing. Look at Congress, their approval rating. I mean, last I saw this in the single digits. The president's approval rating down to 45%, and that was the best, or I don't think it was the best outlook, but his disapproval has gone up over 50%, and it's not. I guess according to the polls, it's it's not that it's the whole gun ban and everything, but it's just his whole views on things. Everything's changed. The people are starting to wonder finally. Like, wait a minute. This isn't the guy we elected back in 2008. This isn't the guy that promised us all this great change and, get out of the recession and the economy back up and booming again. And now...
I mean, you look at it now, he's got nothing to lose. He doesn't have another election coming up, so he can do whatever he wants without any problems. He doesn't have to go for a re-election again.
Well, unless he tries to repeal the 22nd Amendment.
Well, an impeachment is the only thing he's got to worry about, other than making up stupid laws now. I mean, he's got that I don't care attitude now.
Now, Lex, were you going to say something?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
You know how before we were talking about the state being a corporation with the president being the CEO? Usually in a corporation, the CEO has very little say. I believe that every democratic government which exists on the globe today, at this point, there's no far right and far left. They're all center. And the actual people that are calling the shots always stay there. No matter who you elect in or out, things don't change that much. Words change and theatrics change. But when it comes down to it, every 4 years, we lose more of our freedoms, but they never give us new freedoms.
Right. Well, now, who's that to blame? Congress? Because I would blame that on Congress. I mean, because you can't blame it on just one president. Because
Congress doesn't change.
Yeah.
Not as often as it should. A president, you could get rid of them every 4 years, but Congress, it's as if we don't actually see what goes on behind those doors.
Well, there are some. If you watch C-SPAN or C-SPAN 2 or 3 or whatever, they do. There is coverage of some committee meetings and such like that. Not only on the federal level, but on the state level as well. So, I mean, you can see what's going on, but, you're right. There are some committee meetings and hearings that are done behind closed doors because they're, deemed classified. And, I think as you, Lex, has said, this isn't anything new. I mean, systematically our rights have been taken away from us little by little, and we as the people have been allowing this to happen for so long. And now, finally, when the Second Amendment is up for grabs, it's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. Right.
I agree. You do not change a country's constitution. You do not. It doesn't work. That, like you said before, is the holy grail of any free nation.
The Constitution is.
Yes.
Okay. Right. And and it is also the land, law of the land. So now, getting in, I mean, if we actually look into the Second Amendment and stuff like that, now one of the provisions in there says, a well-regulated militia, to protect a free state, well, I'm paraphrasing here, that we the people have the right to form well-regulated militias. Now, last week we had Eric Ron. He's actually a battalion commander of the Texas militia. I believe he's a major. He didn't want me to call him Major Ron, but but and he's actually going to be on next week because they got some announcements that they want to make next week. But anyways, we had him on last week, and we were talking about militias and basically, I mean, let's sit back and look at society as a whole here, because I know everyone here on this conversation probably agrees with the same thing. That when you think about militias, you think of law-abiding citizens, meeting regularly and training and stuff like that. But let's look back on society and what society thinks, because you got to remember, society only believes what the TV tells them. That's the main thing with the resistance movement and the Patriot movement, is to get people unplugged from mainstream media, because all they're doing is teaching you misinformation. And I believe it was President Reagan has said in the early 1960s that with our liberal friends, it's not that they know so much, it's the fact that they know so much that isn't so. Mm. And we're finding evidence of this on CNN, MSNBC. I mean, they're coming out with stories saying that patriot groups are now deemed as hate groups. They actually put that on one of their graphics, when they're talking about the number of militias going up, and they're calling them patriot hate groups. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, how can you be a patriot and belong to a hate group? That doesn't make any sense.
They don't believe in hate. They don't.
Well, right.
Well, I think the problem too stems from the fact that in the last 20 years, the first time that militia was openly used in the mainstream media was given a negative connotation, and that was after the Oklahoma City bombings, when it was revealed that Tim McVeigh and Terry Nichols interacted for a very brief period of time with the Michigan militia and their commander Norman Olson. Now, ever since then, the Michigan militia, which has since been dismissed as just a regular militia group, was under the microscope. And ever since then, there's been a somewhat of a negative stigma that goes along with the term militia.
Right. And that's why I was kind of alluding to, let's look at, society and how they view militias. We've had some hosts here on Spreaker. I know you guys, Rick, Christine, Lex, you guys are brand new to this, so you're kind of getting thrown to the gators here. But there's been some people that have, oh, Jesus. Help me out. JJ?
Which ones?
DC. See, this is what happens when you do too many things at once.
Yeah.
Freddie McFadfuck.
Yeah, that one. But there's some people that look at the Second Amendment and say that, well, our okay, I think I got my train of thought back. Our well-regulated militias, one, is the National Guard, and two, that they're more looked upon as illegal militant groups. I guess I got to ask you. Maybe you guys can tell me, maybe you can't. I don't know. But is there a difference between a militia and an illegal militant group?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference.
Okay. All right. Well, Drew, you want to explain?
Well, if you look back to the term militia as it was defined in the Constitution, the militia was we the people, we the citizens, as an armed, self-regulating force. When you looked at, our revolution and how our country came to be, it wasn't an organized group at the beginning. It was the farmers. It was it was the what do you want? I'm trying to think of, it was the farmers that had a rifle.
The Minutemen.
Yeah, I mean, it all started when the farmers picked up the rifle and became the militia. That's what the militia is, according to the Constitution. A well-regulated militia is us, the people, an armed citizen.
Right.
By being an armed citizen, we embolden our country to defend against, the term enemies, foreign and domestic. Going back to, what Hirohito said, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the blade of grass analogy, That is what the militia is. It's not an organized group. It's us as a citizen exercising our Second Amendment, rights.
Right, and even the founding fathers knew that a well-regulated militia was, unquestionably necessary to protect the people against the government. And, even after the Constitution was ratified back in December 15th, 1791, that's when it was ratified. Even after that, militias were still, it was actually common practice that once you became of age, that you reported to your local militia, 4 or 5 times out of the year. You brought your own musket, your own knapsack, and all your provisions. And if you couldn't provide yourself with a musket, that the militia would provide it for you. So, and that was actually common practice. I mean, it was almost like the draft, so to speak. Except back in colonial days. But nowadays, people will say, "Oh no, our well-regulated militia, that's our National Guard." Sorry, but I don't see how. I don't see how.
Founders not stupid.
Right, I don't
if
see.
They had been military or army, they would have used that word. They would not have used the word militia, which means an armed group of civilians.
Right.
Well, we also have to define what they meant by well-regulated, because they didn't say belonging to a certain hierarchy. And obviously the way it was set up was that they were separate states which were under a union and not one federal jurisdiction like what it has become today. And the federal army is there to protect the interests of the federal government. The states no longer have their own control over it. Well-regulated would mean that with the permission of your own state, you could assemble a militia which is not part of the hierarchy of a higher army. And also, what people get confused, they're talking about...
Wait, hold on. Let me just stop you right there. Because you just said... with the permission of your state.
That's not what it means. The right of the people to keep in their arms a well-regulated militia.
Yeah, but a state is not what it used to be. That's the thing. Back then, we were talking about a smaller population, and they were more active participants of their local government. Now, we're talking about millions being hoarded by a faceless shepherd that we see on TV and the media tells what they want about them, right? So now the game has changed, but the problem is instead of applying their old vision to this modern world, we're creating a whole new set of rules, which is wrong because it was working. It was a utopic society until recently, the past few decades.
Okay. Well, and see, the way I read it, is that it's not a state right, it's an individual right. It's the right of the people to form well-regulated militias. Now, to me, it states in D.C. v. Heller case what well-regulated means is all able-bodied men, able to fire a weapon, report to drill and training, and and organizations, stuff like that. That is what it's meant by well regulated. Has nothing to do, at least in my opinion, has nothing to do with the states or the county or anything like that. Because I can just name off a few militias that are around the country. One of them